what were some things that were alarming that you found in GPS and you were like, okay, I need to not do this added conditioning?
I think what you find is the conditioning, when you're running gassers or, you know, and don't get me wrong, I am not anti-tempo run and, when they need it type, but tempo runs are a little bit different. You can hold your technique. You're not like guys are dragging girls too, they're dragging themselves through these gassers, um, dropping their head, trying to survive. And so you look at the GPS data and you see, all right, we got those same exact speeds in practice for thousands of yards at 50 and 60% because there's a lot of jogging going on, especially, like there's some feed the cats coaches now that, tell their guys, hey, we're not jogging, we're walking from drill to drill. But that's most football coaches like, hey, we're on the field, you're moving, you're getting all these yardage. And then all of a sudden you've got this cup already overflowing with that speed. And now you're going to say, hey, let's go and add to that cup, just let it overflow. But you're also taking away that you're extending the time it's going to take for them to recover. Like, so what I told our coach with the GPS is let's make sure we're getting our needed volumes that we feel like we need at all of these speed bands in practice. And if we're not, then we need to pinpoint the things we're not getting and attack those. But we can start the recovery process for the next day 10 or 15 minutes early. And we get these athletes out of here smiling and laughing and going home. I can, like, completely anecdotal, but I can tell you this. People probably look at, I don't, not as much as at Metroland anymore. When I was at York, we did all that variable movement warm up, and I would let the kids go partners and play like Simon Says, and like we'd have cheerleaders doing flips, and the volleyball player would be like, "How am I supposed to?" And I just be like, "Hey, just do your best." They're all laughing. That's going to be a great workout when they warm up like that, and they're smiling and laughing. They're going to get a better recovery and feel just, you know, amazing after practice and get that started if you don't just drive them into the dirt for no reason. And GPS really allowed me to show the coaches it's not that slow back and forth that we're not getting. You know what we're not getting? We're not getting any high speeds. Football practice is a slow practice. Soccer practice is a slow practice unless you now, not for everybody, because our boys soccer team right now, there's one kid, I don't know, I need to talk to coach exactly what he's doing, but he's always in practice getting up to 19.6 and miles per hour, and he's moving all over the place. But most of the athletes aren't getting a lot of space to get up to speed. And the way that the drills happen, they're in short spaces, they're small sided, the whistle's quick. You don't have time in a football practice, you don't have time to let the guy break through the line of scrimmage and then run 50 yards downfield to get up to that max velocity. He's going to break line of scrimmage and it's going to be a whistle and it's the next play. And in soccer, it's, in all those sports, it's the same thing. So the bucket that we needed to make sure gets filled is the speed, the high intensity bucket. And it doesn't have to be to get to that load, to get to those speeds. It doesn't have to be a big, long, like uh, session. Literally, I would tell her now, when we had them in class, I could almost at York, I had all our athletes in class. So, if soccer, basketball, football, baseball, if I felt like they needed exposure, I could get it to them in class. But every once in a while, I'd have a kid that wasn't able to get in class, and I'd say, listen, when you walk over to get water, here's what I want you to do. Take off and sprint for like 45 or 50 yards. Get all warmed up, middle of practice, you're feeling good, you get a little bit of break, just hit one, and you're good. Just let's get that speed. So it proved to me, and it allowed me to prove to some coaches that without the heart rate monitors, you don't have that internal load. So, you know, but I will tell you that we put our heart rate monitors on our girls basketball, on our girls soccer, and on our boys soccer at York, and the loads are pretty close. Now that's just one situation. It's completely anecdotal, but highs are usually highs. If their player load is high, then their heart rate load is pretty high too. So it just allows you to fill those buckets. And really, the bucket that needs filled in almost all sports is high speeds, high intensities. Because, I told our football coaches way back when we first got GPS, I said, our practices are like, we're preparing the race car for Saturday's NASCAR race. I live in North Carolina, so everybody loves NASCAR. And if the car gets to 260 on Saturday, but you only get to 195 all week, you need to get a little bit of tissue tolerance and a little bit of volume at that close to what you're going to get. And you never know. You might go a football game or soccer game. Our average boys soccer top speeds, girls play in the spring. We got them on our guys right now. It's like 16 to 18. And I know a lot of them are faster than that in a straight out sprint, but most of them are 16 to 18 in the game. But the other day we had a guy hit 19.6. I don't really exactly know because I wasn't at the game where he might have hit it in pregame, but he hit 19.6. And one thing we're seeing in practice is we're getting a lot of 14 and 15s. So those are just things that you can point out to coaches and help them break down their practice and explain to them, I don't need a speed session. You don't have to say, hey, we're setting 30 minutes apart for our speed session. We do our speed work with the football team. They warm up and then probably 10 minutes. And then we do 120-yard acceleration on Monday. And then we hit by position group, we either hit a 25 or a 40-yard sprint. The athletes sometimes take it further because they've figured out that the GPS never stops timing. So they'll run as far as they can to try to get their highest max speed. But then we turn around and do the same thing on either Wednesday or Thursday, and we do a 20-yard acceleration and then one sprint. So that probably takes us a total of 5 minutes, 10 minutes a week to fill those buckets. And those are the type of things that I had no idea. The first time that I put kids in GPS, I was like, that's weird. Like, because you think practices are happening at high speeds. They're not happening in spaces big enough to allow high speeds. 15 miles an hour is cruising when you're only going 10 yards. But, that happens a lot in practice. But